What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our live session. We got audio over here. Just giving everyone a second to jump in here, get ready. We got a big session ahead of us, a lot of movement. We like it. We love it. We're going to check it all out and see what is happening, whether or not this is just a normal pullback over here or the start of something bigger. We're going to take a look at everything going on in the markets. We're going to take a look at the price action ever since the FOMC yesterday. We're going to see what the dollar is doing. Mike, thanks for asking. I'm doing good, and I want to get into that right now because, well, not right now, but in a moment, it's kind of important to talk about and discuss. We got to talk about a little bit about trading psychology today. And no matter how long you've been trading, the fact is it always comes into play. So we're going to talk about that. David C., good to see you this morning. Glad you're here. Yep, Vancouver, Australia. We got everyone in here today. Isan, good to see you this morning. Victoria. Yeah, it's time to go ahead and set up and look at where the money is. Let's go do it. Jordan, the Russell's gotten crushed on the downside over here. Let's take a look first at the calendar. Tomorrow, we have the consumer sentiment. Not sure how much that's going to play into things. What the market's focused in on right now, today at least, is probably, and I say this probably, is probably because you're seeing headlines this morning about there being possible vaccine trials and yada, yada, yada. Anytime the market's down, the market's probably focusing on what is the appearance of a possible second wave. And I don't even want to call it a second wave yet. I think it's a little bit early. I maintain that it's not into the fall we start seeing a legit second wave. What we're seeing today is a little bit of a resurgence of a smaller wave. It's happening. I think the market's focused in on that right now, rightfully so. Rancho Mirage, California, Southern California, I believe. What's going on, T-Gold? So as we get into it this morning, I'm going to start over here with the S&P 500. The reason I want to be, yeah, I thought so too, Jordan. I'm surprised that we're actually, look, we may be down 2.6% this morning, right? But you have to also realize we've also made those gains to the upside just as quick as we've come down. Look at this move. It's just been completely consolidation and back down. We retraced it. Something that I want to talk about over here, because I did catch a nice portion of this once we broke down outside of this bear flag over here at 31.78. And then I took profits this morning around 31.12, which was around 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. So the reason why I took profit is what I want to talk about, because it might not be the right thing to do, but it had to do with my trading in May when I took about 3 small stop losses, right? So one trade made up and a little bit more for all 3 of those stop losses. But I don't think if I was trading from a position of strength, I don't think that I would have exited my position this morning with no sign. What I'm getting at is that I think it's a good trade. I'm happy with it, but I think that psychologically, the reason that I instead of pushing it, I like to push my trades. Yeah, my risk reward was great and it made up for 3 losing trades. But what I'm getting at is, and this is just human nature, the reason I'm talking about it, I'm always looking to improve. As you all know, who's been with me for a while, I'm always looking to improve, and I got to focus on my mistakes. Was exiting this trade early a mistake? I don't know, to be honest. I think I know why I did it, and I did it. I don't think I would have done it had I not had a few losing trades in the month of May in a row. So there we are. That's something to think about. It's really something to really think about, and how you could translate that into your own trading, because you have to be in the habit of pushing trades as far as the market will allow you. You have to be in the habit of pushing trades. Now, I don't think that we're rolling over and melting over here. I don't think that at all. My plan remains, and notice that why I am bullish, I could sell the market. Not a problem. I'm still quite bullish over here. I think is everything remains the same. As long as this trend line over here, as long as we remain above that, I maintain my bullish bias by a large margin. Now, so I'm not even thinking about that. I'm looking about what happens if the true trend turns negative over here. Why above this? At that point, I would be cautious. At that point, I would be cautious, but I still might be looking to lean in. I'm not looking to lean in today. The sentiment is definitely negative. I'm waiting here for a bounce. I want to see what the bounce is. I'm not going to play the bounce to the upside, I don't believe. We'll talk about that later. Thanks, David. We'll talk about that later as things develop. So right now I'm back on the side, and I'm kind of neutral. And when I'm saying I'm kind of neutral, I mean that I feel like today's sentiment is definitely negative. Let's see what New York does with it. Maybe New York is going to, do what New York does. That also has a little bit to do why I got out of the trade. But we'll just reevaluate later on about what the next move is over here. And to be honest, we could see further downside pressure, right? We could even see a larger move. We have some support coming in at 30.58, the next level down. And then beyond that, we got a bigger level coming in all the way at, well, it looks like, what level is this over here? 29.71 in that area over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if those levels come into play. If we hold this support and start rolling up, then I'm going to look what kind of recovery we get. And my first impulse might be to short that pullback. We'll see. We'll see. Where is major support right now? I think the strongest support we're looking at right now is down at 29.71. You can see over here, you could see this was resistance. It tested briefly, like for minutes on this wick. And that's the area I think to look at right now. That's the biggest support below us. All right. So what's happening? We're interested in what's going on with gold today. We're interested in what's going on with silver. Of course, Bitcoin, and then the DXY. Let's take a look at them. Giles, before we go any further, there is something I wanted to talk about over here while we're on the whole theme of psychology. And listen, those that are in the course, one of the greatest advantages of the course is working directly with me and helping me, helping me keep you accountable. So these are all natural tendencies that a lot of traders make, right? Whether it's trading too much, trading on too low of a time frame, things that are, a lot of traders like to attribute to discipline problems. They're not really discipline problems so much as they are not really belief in what you're doing problems. So the greatest asset you have is working with me directly, right? We got to do that. So I'll definitely reach back out to you this morning, and we're going to get you going and back, not only back in line, but moving forward very quickly. US 30, I don't trade it personally. Nope. I don't. I want to take a look at gold this morning. Gold is off, but I'm looking at silver. Gold is off this morning, but again, we were looking after the break of this resistance that happened yesterday for the first pullback into support, which it's doing, and now resuming off. This looks pretty good over here. This is exactly what we were looking for. We were looking for the break of this resistance and then a pullback into test that, and now a resumption up. That could be giving a possible signal. So it goes on the list. I don't know if it's the best. So we're going to find out today what is the best, but everyone can see that over here. This was the resistance yesterday. Now that we pierced above it and then pull back into it, it could possibly be right now resuming back, looking for or getting close to entry. Fasal, there's a link in the description until tomorrow, after tomorrow's live session. I think for at least a few weeks, I think we're going to be closing off the memberships, right there in the description. I'll talk about that tomorrow during the live stream. Silver continues to look good over here, right? Silver pulled back into this, not the first, but the second area of support over here, resuming off of it, and still looks pretty good over here. Anyone holding silver? Looks good. Bitcoin and DXY. So Bitcoin, I really want to talk about right now. A lot of people are worried that perhaps Bitcoin could fall here if we see a bigger crash on the S&P or the equity markets. I don't think that's what we're seeing or beginning to see the early signs of right now. We're not crashing. We've come off a couple percent on the S&P after climbing really high, right? So far, this could develop into something bigger, but so far this is just a pullback. Go back over here to where we were just last week, and then you can see that we have just only retraced back there. That's not a big move. It's a little bit of support that we're at right now. This could go either way. This could hold over here, and then we could maybe come back probably towards the 3183, 3180 level, right? Where we broke down out of, where it's now a little bit of resistance. And that's where it gets interesting to watch what happens next. But this is just the market's not crashing, right? And if the market does crash, will Bitcoin crash? In Sunday's video, I have a link to it. I don't want to share it now, but if you go to Sunday's video, it's the Bitcoin is in the headline actually. Do a very good analysis how Bitcoin is not correlated whatsoever to the equity markets. Now, everything was correlated over here during a crisis. I don't think we're going to have another dollar liquidity crisis anytime in the near future. So, but Bitcoin right over here, the longer that it's remaining under breaking out of here above 10,000, this yellow line over here, which it almost did yesterday. It almost did, but it hasn't. It's in jeopardy of now pulling back the longer that this doesn't make it, right? And here you have this trend line over here to watch to the downside. If that happens, we'll probably go down to 91. We probably only go down to 91, right? I mean, I still have my order in 85 and 82, and I hope we do go lower to get those fills. But probably, my base case is that if we break this trend line, we come down to 91. That's the support to look at. Yes, as long as we have not broken this trend line, the possibility remains she could still break out here to the upside. So that's Bitcoin in a nutshell. Why isn't today a crash? Markets are down 2.5%, right? Markets are down 2.5% today. So, unless you consider this a crash up, was the market crashing up here? I mean, it was a little euphoric, and we were looking at it. What about the NASDAQ? I can't wait to see how that opens up, right? It's not a crash though. The market's just off, right? The market's back where it was 4 days ago. So, a crash would be, the market starts. This is crashing. This is crashing, right? The market is off today. Market's off today, and as it should be. It was up too far, too quick, right? It wasn't healthy what was happening. And yeah, it's too soon to tell. Michael's a good comment. It's too soon to tell what it is right now, whether this is the beginning of something bigger or if this is so far just a normal retrace. Look how far here in the daily the S&P was overbought. Going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sessions in a row, right? So this type of pullback after there, it seems normal to me. I'm not really reading into it so much or getting so tied up in it, right? We'll see what happens. It was overbought and it just pulled back a little bit so far. That's the way. Is there a way to buy Bitcoin through an ETF in the market? Bitcoin does not have an ETF. No, it doesn't. It does have, you could look into Grayscale. The ticker is GBTC. You pay a premium and a 2% fee, but that's a way to play Bitcoin if you're stuck within the equity world. All right, moving forward to DXY. Could the S&P drop what it has already? AH. What is AH? Raw dog only. Could the S&P drop beyond what it has already? AH. What does that mean? After hours? Yeah, of course it could keep going down. Of course, we could have a trend day. We're setting up for a trend day over here. Look what's happening over here. By the way, we're looking over at the stats over here. We could see the world cases still continue to climb. What's going on over here? This is Brazil's cases are starting to get out of control. I don't know why Italy, Spain, they beat the curve and then came down. Why has the US, after beating the curve, gone basically sideways? The worry is that this starts climbing up. I don't think that this is going to be a big second wave. I think that comes in the fall, but we're seeing a resurgence, and people rightfully so are getting worried. And then you're seeing today, Moderna releases the latest vaccine update. It's almost like it's all orchestrated. So nevertheless, let's find out what's going on in the charts. We want to look at the DXY. The DXY, let's first drop down to a small time frame so you can see over here where I have these yellow marks, and that was the range of the FOMC. This was the range of the FOMC, the high, the low. This was also the daily high and the low. And we just noted, in the Telegram chat afterwards that, as price ended the FOMC basically in the middle between the high and the low of the range, that the next indication of what's next will be if we break out to the high side or low side of that range set by the FOMC. And so far we've broken out now to the upside. So the dollar is making back some gains. Really the story of the day is going to be the Japanese yen and Swiss franc, where we're seeing this risk on move. They have also been stretched away from really some high levels, as well as we're going to see probably the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar off a lot. So again, why this was good, and this is a nice trade, the money's in FX. The money's in FX. We're going to take a look at it. That's Roman. That's a really good insight. Roman is saying, well, the difference between the curve that we're seeing in Spain and Italy and in the United States is that they had severe lockdowns over in Europe. And the United States, well, the United States is out rioting. Oh boy. That's the only reason I think we're getting that second wave early. All the bears seeking confirmation bias today. Yeah, maybe, but I'm kind of neutral. Glad to take the trade, glad to be out of it, glad to be neutral. Let's not get all emotional. Let's see what's going on. Can we take a look at GBTC? I believe is a pretty important trend line. So I follow Bitcoin. I don't follow GBTC at all. I never even pulled up a chart before. If you're looking at it though, and you're looking at it, let's look up a daily chart. So you pay a premium over here. You can see it's priced in as if it was the equivalent of, call it $12,300. Pretty big premium you're paying, but it makes sense if you're stuck in the equity markets and you want to go ahead and be involved. But listen, I just think it's better following Bitcoin, right, than following GBTC or trading up the GBTC chart. Again, it's ugly, lots of gaps. It's tracking Bitcoin. Ryan, thanks so much, man. I've had too much coffee for any talk on bugs in the Bitcoin software today. There could be bugs. A lot of people don't know about it, but even it was the Bitcoin Cash developer. When I say recently, it was a little over a year ago. He found a huge bug in the Bitcoin Core software that was going to cause inflation, right? It was a Bitcoin Cash developer that found an enormous bug inside the software. And that's the truth, is it's software. It's the most attacked piece of software ever on the face of the planet, right? So it's you could say it's the most secure, but at the same time, man, could have some bugs. Virus is heading west here. So Georgie, if you're asking if the dollar goes up, will the FXE drop? So the dollar correlation between markets has been one that is not really concrete. A lot of people are saying, well, the markets are only rising because the dollar is falling. I saw a couple of tweets on that yesterday, but that's not really, well, Michael, no one should be getting long here yet, right? Because we don't buy as price is falling. The first indication that it's time for, Brandon, I'll come back to that in 1 second. The first indication you're getting ready to buy something, if it was here on the S&P 500, would be for price beginning to make a higher high than the previous price bar that you're trading, right? So I don't know what time frame you'd be focused in on this morning. Let's say look at the 30-minute over here. Is that your first indication to buy over here off this support? I feel like you're catching a falling knife if you're doing that, but that's fine. I'm not one of those people, Michael. That's for sure. The correlation between the DXY and the equity markets has been off. Right now, you're seeing, weaker dollar, markets rising, but that's not what we saw at the beginning of the year. We saw both the dollar getting really, really strong and the markets trading up, to new all-time highs. So, I'm not focused in on that at all. How about that? Brandon was asking a really important question before we get into the equities over here. Brandon was asking, when the ETF on gold was introduced, you saw a gold spike and gold bull. Will that happen also when it comes to Bitcoin? It's hard to say. So institutions, which they didn't 4 years ago during the retail bull cycle, they didn't really have any opportunity to play Bitcoin, to hold it within their fund, because you had to hold it holding your own private keys. They're not allowed to do that. So what they needed, that's the reason for, Backed. Backed is the exchange run by the ICE, the parent of the New York Stock Exchange. And now institutions, right, could go ahead, and the partners with Fidelity, they could go ahead and they could actually hold Bitcoin. They don't need an ETF. They simply don't need an ETF. There's no, what about the small investors? Well, they have GBTC. So, and a lot of them are investing in it. I don't really think that there's a need for an ETF. That's the thing about Bitcoin. It really doesn't care. It's going to do what it needs to do regardless. Would an ETF attract buying? Sure. Bitcoin, by the time the institutions get in, which, I mean, of course, institutions have already started. Paul Tudor Jones mentioned his fund has started buying Bitcoin, but you're looking at when Bitcoin's trading around $50,000. That's when they're going to have no choice but to FOMO into Bitcoin, because at that point, if they're not holding Bitcoin, they're doing they're not upholding their fiduciary responsibility, and they'll have no choice but to take a position in Bitcoin. All right. So Andrew, I'm going to answer this question. It's a good one. It probably pertains to a lot of people. I know a lot of traders are trading options. I don't trade options. I've never traded an option in my entire life. In my 20-year career, I've never traded an option. He's asking for viewers, including himself, who bought long dated calls yesterday. Would you advise holding or selling to cut losses and repositioning? Would be quite the loss at the opening. So let's talk about that. That's a pretty important conversation. So if you're buying up here, right? So if you're trading options, you should trade options the same way we trade in the course. The same exact way we swing trade spot, you should be trading options, which means as you were over here yesterday after the Fed meet, we were in this bull flag that was developing, right? So unless this broke out to the upside, there was no entry. I took it on the failure to the downside, right? But you're looking at a market that was way overbought, and it's not the time to buy options. If you're buying options this morning, as you're into support, well, maybe that's a place to look to buy options, right? Or we wait until to see us start resuming up. So let's say like we looked at the 30-minute, I wouldn't buy this. But as you come down into the support over here, and now you start making a higher high, well, that might be your indication. What I'm looking at, though, is that this is downward momentum. I'm waiting actually for now a move up that I could come into some type of resistance, whether it's this one right here, which I don't know. I'll watch it. Or maybe even up here, I like better, right around the 31.83. That's the level I pointed out earlier. That level, if we got up there, then I would be watching price and looking how it reacts. If it resumed offwards, resuming down, that's where you would, place a put. So regardless if you're trading options or not, you want to do it as smart as if you were trading normally. And that's where the course will be an enormous benefit, 100%. All right, let's keep going over here because there's a lot going on. Let's first take one last look here at the S&P right now, which has definitely sold off hard today. New York coming in now, markets open in about 4 minutes. Now I have to be honest. Well, I have to be honest. I don't like that expression. The way it is that normally before the US equity markets open, the 15, 20 minutes before they open, you see a retrace of the trend. That's probably all that's happening today. That's probably all that's happening today. All right, we'll keep tracking it. Gold would have took the entry that we looked at this morning. I not taking it, or didn't trigger yet. It would have to take out 1740. I'm not looking to take that. I'm marking it yellow. I'm going to wait and see what else goes on. How about an ETF with Bitcoin, US dollar, other cryptocurrencies, and international currencies? Roman, that would, right now, if there was an ETF that had maybe the top 30 altcoins, including Bitcoin in there, or the top 100, that's something that I think is going to outperform Bitcoin over the next 18 months. That's something I would be interested in. That would be interesting, of course. At some point in time, we're going to see lots of products put out on the market, but that's not happening yet. It's not happening yet. Yep, this could be a great place to enter, by the way. Those who have been on the sidelines not wanting to chase this. But I'm waiting this out now. I'm kind of hanging out now on the 8-hour time frame over here. So I'm not close to looking for any type of entry. Actually, the next trade I look for will be probably a sell trade here. But I'm not. I'll look at that this afternoon after we get this session out of the way and get to use all of that data to reassess what's going on, and then we'll be able to take a look at it. Yeah, it's a really funny expression. Like, I'm honest all the time. Why would I say, let me be honest? I have to find a way to come up with guys. We got 227 likes in here this morning. I would like to thank each and every one of you gone ahead and taking the time to go ahead and show your appreciation, help me out, help the channel. I like that. Yeah, Russell should be Russell's going to lead on the way down if we go down further. Brian is saying that is that for Quebec? QBTC in Canada is regulated fund for Bitcoin. Canada also has the Galaxy Fund by Novacrats. Both are good plays. GBTC, I guess, is just a Bitcoin fund, and Galaxy would be more of a crypto fund, mostly in Bitcoin. That's where I want to get to, Samson. I want to take a look at what's going on in FX right now. Bitcoin continues to be under a little pressure. If you notice, and Bitcoin's really simple here, right? That highlights what the next move on Bitcoin is going to be. That highlights, the break here is important. A breakdown, 91 is the level to look for. 91 is the level to look for. Here we go. We have about 1 minute to the US equities markets open. I do want to take a look across the board. WTI is off pretty solid today, off 6%. It didn't close the gap. It came really close to it. Now, I'm continuing to watch here. I'm watching mainly the developments of the coronavirus. If we saw further lockdowns, right? I don't know I don't know in the U.S. what could happen now. Would anyone respect the lockdown? Up in Seattle, they have gangs, making warlords taking over downtown 6 city blocks. I don't know about telling people to go on lockdown, but if the true trend rolls over here negative, right, that might be the time here, because we're in a bear market to go ahead and look to start establishing a short position. Not yet. Here we go. U.S. equities opening. That move is being faded. We just talked about how normally before the equity markets open up, the 20 minutes beforehand is a move that is often faded. It's got to be aware of the time of day. That's all we got over there. Let's take a look at FX. Let's see what's going on. And then wait. This is a delayed quote that I'm looking at over here. So I don't like that. The equity markets are all messed up, man. Look at the NASDAQ. That's what I want to see anyway. Woo! Island top. Nasty little beast. Wow. I think Robinhood traders might be feeling the pain today. They might be feeling the pain today, and we'll see what develops after that. Let's see when they get bearish. Yeah, prayers to Seattle. Seattle, man. It's not even Portland. You'd expect that stuff to be happening in Portland, not Seattle. All right, let's go look over here. Let's go see what's going on in the euro US dollar. This is looking on the 8-hour. This, you could see the range. This is the FOMC range over here. You got the yellow and the yellow maintaining that range, and we're still within it. We're still consolidating over here. This could go either way. There's no edge yet here on the euro. Interesting. Gold is flying now, huh? Let's hope it takes Bitcoin with it. Getting close here to an entry right over here as we take out the previous bar's high, coming back, pulled back into that support. Silver also looking still good from anyone who took this trade. Let's keep it G. Let's keep it G. My kids are going to be watching these live streams one day. They're going to be watching all these live streams one day. All right, let's look at the Australian dollar, US dollar. Australian dollar is definitely feeling the pain today, but this actually looks pretty good over here. The dollar is not really giving us an edge. The dollar is not giving us an edge yet. Now, we talked about yesterday during the live stream that what we could see happen would be after we could see the dollar sell off on the FOMC news, and that could actually put it in a bottom if they didn't go ahead and control the curve, which they didn't do. So this could be a near-term bottom in the dollar, but FX is not really following through yet. Appreciate that comment, the MHHK, very much. I do receive nice, really emails and the comments every day, people talking about the difference that this group has made in their trading. So I'm grateful for all of you for being here. You know, you get the occasional troll every once in a while, but you know, the emails stack up, and it's nice to see the difference that it's making. It's nice hearing that as well. It makes me feel better. You know, that's like, you know, giving truly makes you happy. So it's nice to hear that as a response. Appreciate that. Let's see what else we got going on over here. S&P maintaining. Let's not focus there. Let's go through all of the FX pairs because we still got a lot of trading left in the week. Let's see if anything of note is developing. We're going to start with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, which is down almost nasty, right? So questions. Let's take a look at this first together. Always how many people had stops up here is my question. I'm always trying to figure out where other traders are. How many people had stops up here that were taken off? And then this is, since we've come back, we're taking out this area. We're now blowing out supports, right? Obviously, I'm not looking to get short and chase this, but my question is next, what am I looking for, right? Is my next position a long position or a short position? That's really the question I'm asking myself right now. I can't answer it. We're still in an uptrend, right? And what about a pullback into this deeper support over here, right? At 72.38, would that become an attractive area? I don't know. When I don't know, I simply don't know. I'm looking at some volatile price action right now, which means, you know what, there's could be some good trades put on and a lot of money to be made. But at the same time, when things are not clear, I avoid them. I'm looking for. I was short short the S&P. Well, I'm looking for what's clear. Thanks, Georgie. Appreciate that. I'm looking for what's clear. I'm not looking for like, oh yeah, this is super volatile, let me get involved. So I'm gonna let this figure itself out a little more. To be honest, I could be ready to set up a short over here if we're gonna see a further extension. If we're gonna see, you know, this. Rightfully so, the market, I believe today, is factoring in what looks like an increase of cases, specifically inside the United States of the coronavirus. Because like it or not, the US is the engine of the world. So I'm just kind of putting the pieces together, but I don't know what to do. Yeah, and when things become clear or something becomes clear, then I'll like it. Same thing here with the pound Japanese yen. We're seeing some huge pullbacks in the pound. This is, are these setting up buying opportunities, or are we waiting for it could go both ways. Off this support over here, right? If we resume off the support, this opens up the top side. And then as we came into this resistance over here, maybe that would then open up the downside. Pound Japanese yen is actually forming a nice tradable range over here. Let me look back at the Australian dollar Japanese yen with that context. Still got to come down a little further. I like this support down over here. Pound Japanese yen looks a little bit clearer. It looks a little bit clearer. Island top on the S&P 500 as well. What's Tesla doing this morning? Tesla's maintaining. Tesla's holding out strong. Tesla bulls. Tesla's holding out strong. Amazon, I read this morning, is the EU is starting some I don't even know what it's called. The EU is starting, let me see over here. Amazon antitrust charges. The Wall Street Journal reported that the EU is reportedly mulling formal antitrust charges against Amazon in the next week or two. They want a piece of the pie, and they're going to take a few billion from Amazon. The yen is strengthening. The yen is strengthening right now as we are seeing this move to risk off. Are we looking at a head and shoulders on the pound Japanese yen? I mean, this is what you're looking at: a head, a left shoulder, right shoulder, right? And then, like, was that the break somewhere around there? It could be. It could be. If it is, where would the target be? We're going to draw from the neckline up to the head and then move that down right into the support over here, right? That would take us down to the support over here of 132.45, right around that area. So, but I'm more interested not whether or not this is a head and shoulders, guys. I'm more interested in what happens over here at this support, right? If this support holds and we start resume up, it might be an opportunity to go ahead to look into buy. Markets are resilient. Markets are resilient right now. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. I did take a short on this as well. I'm still holding this. And let's see on the there's a lot of room in here. I think the next area of support comes right around here, right around the 67.87 level. Now, I didn't push my S&P trade. I didn't push it. So I'm going to let this one go, see what develops. I heard, DJ, I heard a lot of Fortnite players no longer are holding missions during the day. They only play in the evenings because they're all those 10-year-olds are out on the Robinhood app during the day. Could you please state what are the factors considered when trading oil? Not looking to trade oil right now. It's been a while. Oil was something that we focused in on all year since the beginning of the year, right? We were extraordinarily bearish up in oil, up in the mid 50s. And then we all the way down until oil broke. When oil broke $22 and $14.50 was our last price target on it. Ever since then, we've just been on the sidelines. I continue to be sidelines. The only thing that I'm looking at oil right now, because this is a bear market. This is a huge bear market. This is not a V recovery. It looks like Logic has the potential one day for actually showing its face again. And by logic, we're looking at that V, which makes no sense when the economy is not in a V, right? Would a W recovery make more sense? Yeah. Would taking out March lows make more sense? Yeah. So oil over here, I'm just waiting. I'm being patient on this. If another trade sets up at any point in the future, I'll be involved in it. There's not clarity right now, and I prefer other pairs. Why is oil correcting today? Because all of a sudden, things are not looking as rosy as they were last week. Right now, everything is not so awesome. Right now, we're seeing increases in the virus inside specific regions of the United States. and it's showing the possibility of second waves arriving. It's not only the US. If you look at the world as a whole, the world cases continue to climb. Here's daily confirmed new cases, and you could see that they are at a high. That is not a really positive trend by any means. You could see Mexico, India, Brazil all continue to shoot up. The worry here is the United States has only flatlined. The United States, not like Europe, not like Spain, Italy, they have not come ahead and started beating that curve. So, and again, it's not even the fall. The fall is when we should really start seeing some issues occur. So right now, just take a step back. Don't get so emotional today. Could you just tell us to fight the dollar today since the US is having a bear day? No. Yesterday we said before the FOMC in our live session that it's quite possible if the Federal Reserve does not go ahead and put any type of controls on the curve, on the yield curve, that we could see an impulse down on the dollar, and that could actually be a near-term bottom. So that's all that looks like it's happening right now, right? David, I think you remember that comment. You were like, that's an interesting perspective. Yep. So they aren't exactly cold states. Yeah. But flu season is actually like in the winter. I mean, in the fall, no? Boom, 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 boom. Would you recommend a platform for day trading other than MetaTrader 4? Alanda FX Trade is an excellent platform to check out. For most regions in the world, you could connect it directly to TradingView as well, which is really neat. The best part about it is actually for smaller accounts, you know, an account under $5,000 or so, you could actually use perfect money management on Alanda FX Trade. It's amazing. All right, let's see. Let's keep going over here because there's so much we haven't looked at. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I exchanged those pesos for dollars earlier in the week. This is looking beautiful over here now as the US dollar Mexican peso has broken back into this channel over here, taking out this trend line. Not only that, you know, everyone could just look. The 8-hour is the best. Trade the 8-hour time frame, by the way. But here you see the breakout, the retest into that broken trend line. Price resumed up. That could have been definitely a buy signal right over there. And then you could see price came back down. You got to make sure you're not placing your stops too tight, everyone. A lot of people, a lot of traders place their stops way too tight. You don't know how much smarter it is to move your stop out a little wider, and therefore your position size is smaller, right? And almost everyone trades with too tight stop losses. This trade's looking good now as we come into the resistance. If we get above this resistance here, flip it into support, then we have an opportunity at really making some headway. So let's also look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar at the same time. Bitcoin, trading the corn. Stay away from public air conditioning, public places. That's a really good tip. Everyone, most important advice we could give each other when it comes to staying healthy is keeping our immune system strong. What does that mean? It means you got to be outside. You got to get some sun. You got to get some vitamin D. Vitamin D supplements, as well as vitamin B, excellent, as well as make sure you're eating well, getting sleep, and exercising. Those are the most important things you could do to protect yourself. And then, of course, after that, you know, be careful when outside about touching your face. Make sure you wash your hands. All right. Let's keep going over here. Let's keep going over here. What's happening on Bitcoin? So Bitcoin right now is, you could see it's having trouble breaking above this resistance over here. The longer that it has trouble breaking out, as we spoke about this morning, the more of the chances is of it breaking down outside this trend line. Now, if it does break down, we're looking at 9,100. That's probably where this move will find support and base out at. I do not have any buy orders myself in over there. If I was looking this week to be accumulating Bitcoin, making a purchase, that's that's where I would have an order in, right? As well as above the breakout, above 10,000, I would also have an order in for either one of those. Or hey, make it easier on yourself and just buy at market if you're accumulating. But I do have orders in at 85 and 82. I don't think they'll get filled. I hope they do. Nothing too much is happening on Bitcoin. So what else we got going on over here? Euro Swiss franc is probably rolling over hard today. Yeah. So this is a pair that I tend to stay away from. The reason I stay away from it, it's really dangerous. The Swiss franc, you never know what they're going to do at any time. Here, it's like they stopped defending it and boom, they shot up. I don't know. This was, we looked at this though earlier in the week as price was really protruding upwards. And we talked about how we were into an area of resistance in a strong downtrend. It was obviously hindsight, the time to go ahead and take a position, but I stay away from this pair. I don't trade this pair. I do watch it. I do look at it, but I stay away from this pair. Let me go ahead and I stay away from so much that my support and resistance levels aren't even up to date, and that's okay. But now that we're here, I want to firm them up because it's really important to have clean looking charts. Yep. Lewis. Yeah, I haven't had dairy in years. I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Absolutely terrible. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'd be in the shower with a few of my kids, and I'd be like blacking out. And I just thought, man, having kids is tough. I'm getting old, man. I can't do this. This is having Lyme is one of the worst things you could ever. It's terrible. And I was able to beat it just through diet. I gave up all gluten, I gave up all dairy and all sugar, 100% of each. Meat though, I love meat. I'm a meat eater. Euro Australian dollar is coming back into an area of resistance over here. This becomes interesting to watch over here. We were looking at this in the Telegram group last night, and someone brought it up, and we were saying, although it was coming right here and testing this resistance right down over here at 162.95, and obviously it was never rejected by that resistance. It's never made a lower low. We said it looked like it possibly was having a trend change. Although as you come into this area of resistance over here, you're still in a strong downtrend. This will be another look over here as price reacts. And if it is rejected over here, opens up the possibility for perhaps taking a short over there. We're bringing health and fitness into the dynamic over here, but I do maintain that. That's important. Have fallen off a little bit on my normal exercise routine, and it's so important to perform well. And you have to think of being a trader, investor, and you have to be in the mindset of what it means to be performing at your peak performance. Staying up drinking and then getting up 5 minutes before the market opens and then like is not going to cut it. You're competing against professionals. You're competing for the precious capital of money. What are you talking about, Naya? Reverse head and shoulders. What are you focused in on over there? I would like to take a look at it. Are you looking at the Euro Australian dollar? Oh yeah, I want some of those. I would love some of those. What do they call that? Like an immunity shot? Ooh, I would love to play. All right, let's take a look. Are we looking at a reverse head and shoulders here? Left shoulder. I don't see it, but is there a trend line we could put over here to kind of help us out? I'm just going to focus on this resistance right over there, right? I'm going to see what happens as we come into that. If we get above it, then maybe we are reversing. It could be. I don't know if it is or isn't, but my eyes aren't attracted to it. And I mean, if that's the trend line to focus in on, it's the same horizontal resistance right there, right? We'll keep it in. We'll see what happens. Burpees. Oof. So Alexander Rodriguez, I want to highlight this comment. He's saying, should we only focus on one currency pair as a beginner, or should you have at least 3 in the bag to play around with? Now, in my training program, I do talk about this, and I talk about the fact that, while for a long part of my early career, I thought it was best to focus in on 1 or 2 at most currency pairs so that you learn them and you're really focused in on them. I had heard that, and I really thought that was the way to do it. I absolutely not. You want to have as many currency pairs on your list as possible, at least starting out 15 to 20. I have 30. And the reason being is by going through your pairs, this is what you do, right? This is your training. It's going over the market on the 8-hour time frame, and you're looking at the market, right? Obviously much slower than I'm doing right now. You're looking at the market, and by doing so, 2 things happen. The first thing that happens is you're able to get in the flow of the market. You're able to understand like the heartbeat of the market. Today we're seeing huge risk off. We're seeing strong Swiss franc. We're seeing strong Japanese yen. We're seeing risk on currencies like the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar weak. Euro still maintaining pretty stable, right? Dollar kind of might be trying for a reversal, but it's not really making it. Gold, nice, pretty strong today. One of the leaders, right? S&P equity markets getting crushed. The second thing you're doing then is by looking at all these different opportunities, you are actually giving yourself the greatest opportunity to find the best opportunity, right? You are giving yourself, this is a head and shoulders on the pound Swiss franc. Where were we? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, clean neckline, clean break of the neckline. Not only broke the neckline, came up, retested it, resumed down. This thing is beautiful. You give yourself more opportunity to be able to find the best opportunity. So limiting yourself to 1 or 2 or 3 pairs is limiting yourself. That's not good. You want to be able and to find out where the best opportunity is. Follow more pairs, take less trades. There are people who take 3 or 4 or 5 trades a day on the Euro US dollar. There aren't 3 or 4 or 5 trades a day to take on the Euro US dollar, and there aren't that many trades to take a week on the Euro US dollar. All right. Yeah, that's good. That's what we're here for, to kind of support each other from making FOMO decisions, from trading, from overtrading, from trading emotionally. All instruments, opportunity. There you go. June 12th, 1776, summarizing it and putting it back. All right. So careful about the swamps, taking a trade for the swamp alone. For example, on the Mexican peso, they pay quite a nice interest rate if you hold the Mexican peso long versus the US dollars. And that works out for a while. Like this over here, this is when the carry trade was in full effect. This is in the, and then you could see that when these things blow up, they blow up. So for the US dollar, Mexican peso, we are into a resistance level right here. It's light resistance. It's light resistance. This is what we were focused in on, this trend line over here as we took back above it. That was a good place to look at it. Euro US dollar pullback, which level? Let's look at the Euro US dollar. So the Euro US dollar, we looked at that earlier this morning, and I was saying that this is really giving no edge. Look at these 2 yellow marks. That's the range of yesterday, which is also the range put in the first hour of the FOMC meeting. And price is still consolidating within that range. You could see this last bar, right? There's no edge at which way this is going to break, and it could go either way. I have no edge here on the Euro US dollar. If the dollar does weaken, I have no edge. I have no edge. So as the S&P trades up over here, I'm going to be watching a couple of areas of interest. Now, I have a couple of questions on my mind. Am I looking to buy? Is this a dip that I want to buy into? Do I want to short any up moves into any resistance? The 3180 is the one that's on my mind as being the most attractive right now. What about this little bit of resistance here at 3136? Let's see what that looked like coming down. 3136, you could see price broke down below it, came into it, and then above. So over here also, where my mouse is right now at 3147, that's where the resistance was to the upside, right? So I want to see what that level is. Yeah, I'm definitely going to move this to give me a little bit of a help up to here. This which was resistance over here on the top side, that's what provided resistance this morning. That's more a better level of where the market's focused in on. If the market's able to get back above there, right, then it has a chance at really turning this around. Below there, the sellers are in control. Yeah, it looks like profit taken. So Mo, sincerely, in the description below is a link for my course and mentoring. That would really do you. It would really benefit you. It would benefit anyone, 100%. But it would really benefit you if you're asking questions like that. You should know for yourself. All right. Let's look at the euro Japanese yen. The euro's hanging in there so far. The euro's hanging in there so far. This is in an uptrend. This has come down now into support. If it's able to hold this support over here and resume upwards, does that bring out a buy entry overnight? Possibly. By the way, I wanted to check back in on Bitcoin, which is just maintaining within this range. Don't take a trade until you see it break out there one way or another. Euro, British pound, we do want to take a look at over here. I don't have an edge. I just see this. I see like this is like a broadening top almost, right? Could that be a broadening top being put in? That would be interesting if we come back out around the 0.9026 level over here, looking perhaps for a short up in that area. Got some heavy resistance above over there. That's the best I could see on that pair right there. Currency trading seems really complicated. So actually, a lot of people that come into the program are from equities. And when they start trading currencies on the 8-hour, they actually realize that it's much easier. It's much easier. The trends are smoother. It's a whole different world. It's just easier. It's not complicated at all. No, I don't look at volume at all, Joe. I don't follow volume at all. Yeah, Major Zunwalt has a really good comment here. He's saying a friend told him that he should start trading, but he's kind of scared because he doesn't know anything about it. What should I do? Well, probably nothing, Major Zunwalt. I wouldn't do anything. I definitely would not start trading. You should only trade when you feel like, well, first of all, you should have an attraction towards the markets. Second of all, you should have the desire to be able to go ahead and learn as much as you can. It needs to be a passion because you have a lot to learn. But being here and watching a stream or two and seeing how far that takes you, that's a good start. But I wouldn't do anything. I would not. All right. What else are we looking at today? Is there anything else we are looking at today? Euro, Canadian dollar. Top of the range. Nice call. That's true. Nice call, Will. You're seeing here the euro Canadian dollar coming into the top of this range over here. There's a bit of resistance. I do have to note that the euro's been pretty strong. The euro has been pretty strong versus everything. And then also, I can't imagine. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. It looks like we might have an opportunity to break above this resistance. If you break above this resistance, do you start getting long here for this portion above this resistance here on the euro Canadian dollar? Are you trading the range? You all know I don't trade ranges. This is a big range though. There's a lot of movement over here. If you start making lower lows, I would never advise against it. I would never advise against anyone in a sideways market who's selling resistance and buying support. Jesse, we know Kyle Bass, right? That's his trade right now, is a leverage trade against the Hong Kong dollar, the US dollar and the Hong Kong peg. There's not much that I could talk about it, except say that there's a lot of information on the internet about Kyle and his trade. There you go. There's the peg going back 30 years, right? It's going back 30 years. Is this the moment when the peg breaks? I don't know. A lot of people over these 30 years have tried to go ahead and position themselves for the peg break-in. That has not worked out. This is not clarity for me whatsoever. This is like an all or nothing bet, right? This is like a lotto ticket almost. I think you would have a safer bet taking a leverage trade on Bitcoin, over the next 18 months than you would here on the US dollar, Hong Kong dollar. Maybe Kyle's right. And if Kyle's right, he's kind of staking his reputation on this trade. That will be awesome. He's got a huge team behind them. They do a lot of research on this. He's got a lot of interviews. Jesse, check his stuff out if you're interested in. It's not something I'm interested in, and you could be stuck in this trade for, well, maybe even another 30 years. I don't know. US dollar, Canadian dollar is seeing the benefits of that little bit firmer dollar today. No question about it. Looks good. I mean, we looked at this yesterday and we talked about the strong support it was coming into. It's coming into this resistance right now. If it gets above this resistance, now, if you're not in the trade, I'm not. I'm in the, if I was going over here and looking, I would be waiting for this to flip to support and then look for this trade. But it's interesting. It's interesting, as is the US dollar, Mexican peso today. That's all. They're interesting. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, let's check it out. No, Dave, I haven't suggested at all selling the US dollar. Just for clarity's sake, Dave, I suggested yesterday that if the FOMC did not go ahead and do any type of control on the yield curve, we could see an impulse down, and then that could be the bottom of this current move here against the dollar. Until this low is taken out, that's my base case. We'll see what happens. But no, I would not be trading. Oh, did you say trade against the dollar? No, I would not be selling dollars today. No. All right. We wanted to check out, boom, boom, boom. We wanted to check out the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar to see if it's forming a triangle pattern. Let's do that over here. It looks to me like it's forming a nice bull flag. This looks pretty good, actually. This looks like it's forming a nice bull flag over here against this really strong resistance. Let's see how big. It's a big level. Yeah. That looks pretty good over here. It remains to be seen whether or not this was just a bit of a profit taking from very, very overextended levels. We're seeing that on the US equities today. We're seeing that across Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar pairs. And we're seeing that actually that reversal on risk off pairs like the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen. So far, you have to assume it's just a retrace of an overextended move. It could always be the start of something bigger, but it's too soon to say. Here you go, though. You're able to kind of go ahead and put in this little cheat sheet, this little bit of a range. And if you start breaking out to the upside of it, that would be the time to go long the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Aside from that, you continue to be in this pretty strong uptrend. You'd be looking for a deeper pullback and see where you could buy off support. I don't see a triangle, though. No, Tobias, I use support. I use price. I follow price, right? I follow price around the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and the true trend indicator. True trend indicator is it's the CCI 70 period, given the trend CCI up here. And then the entry CCI over here is the 3-period CCI overlaid with each other. This helps you know when the market is near-term overbought, oversold. It will stop new traders from chasing after momentum, as they definitely do. If you find that you take a trade and it immediately goes against you, that means you're chasing momentum and that you need to, well, just pull up the true trend, follow the entry CCI, and that will protect you. Is gold teeing off? Gold just had an entry right now where it is, as it made a higher high off of that support. Looks good. Jasmine, Jasmine Juna. Well, first of all, thanks for pointing that out. And I mean, I want to talk. I wasn't the first, but so Jordan was the first one who identified the effects of the COVID-19 as early as January 2020 related to the financial markets. That's correct, right? It was around January the 24th, late January. And that mainly came from seeing the videos coming out of China on Twitter. You know, I'd never seen anything like that stuff in my life. And then it was with the help of Chris Matherson of Peak Prosperity. He was one of the few resources that I started following. And also Macro Voices. I forget his name, Eric Townshed on Macro Voices. Macro Voices has a really good podcast on YouTube that you could listen to. I don't listen to it religiously or anything like that, but during the COVID crisis, it's funny, actually, I had stopped listening to him for a long time. And during the COVID crisis, I would listen as well over there. So yeah, we put that together in early January, what was happening, what the effects were going to be. The sell-off, the crisis was huge for us. It was huge for us. We were all over it. Prior to the crisis, I was just advising anyone from selling the S&P at all. And then during the crisis, we were able to make a ton of money, as well as off of the Japanese yen and Swiss franc pairs against the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So since, recently over the last couple of months, I've taken a much more cautious tone on the COVID situation. And I watch it from afar right now. And that's what I continue to do. I'm kind of watching it from afar. Yep. There you go, BB. Thank you it's Chris Matherson, Peak Prosperity. Excellent. I remember the first video, Blair here. Blair was the first one who sent me a video back at some point. I don't know if it was January, February, about Chris talking about the situation. I remember listening to that in the kitchen, making some coffee. Thanks, Jasmine. I really appreciate you remembering that, and that's true. If you know you have trouble saying some words, so if that's it all, it was no problem. Thanks, Michael. I do have epic issues with pronunciations, sounding out words, so I appreciate that very much. What else can we check out over here? Is someone chasing gold today? I'm not, but is gold a place to take a long entry off here? It's a possible long over here. Why is it a possible long? Is because you had this resistance, right? You then came back up, pulled back and tested it. That resistance is now support, and now you're making higher highs. It's a good entry on gold. you could see over here, the entry CCI pulled back negative as you came into that support, showing you it was no longer overbought. That's why we didn't chase this breakout yesterday, right? Now it's a higher probability trade. I don't think it looks like the best trade, but it's a good one. Yeah, Shane, I think I'm going to be looking at, depending on what happens today, the rest of this session. There's a lot of trading ahead. In the afternoon's video, I'm going to be looking at what possibly could be developing on the S&P. Now, I just got out of a trade. I'm not looking to get into a trade. Tomorrow is Friday, right? But I need to be following the flow of the market and setting up the next trade. What would, get me into a trade? Or would I even get into a trade if we were able to take out that 31.47 resistance and, take out the previous price bar on the 8-hour? Maybe. I don't think that's going to happen today, this session. I don't think that's going to happen. There's plenty that could get me long the S&P over here. I'm not yet remotely bearish on this. I'm still bullish on it. Why'd you take a sell side trade then if you're bullish on the market, right? So I don't know yet though. I don't know. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can get 600. Is it a bear flag setting up on the S&P 500? No, I don't see a bear flag setting up on the S&P 500. No. Yeah, we could definitely talk about the Australian dollar, US dollar one more time over here. It looks pretty good. I mean, what I'm seeing, it's in a long uptrend. It's been extended. It's consolidating right now, though. It's consolidating. By the way, before I do that, just want to check out the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, just like on the equity markets, I'm more inclined over here to be still buying some dips. I don't really have any type of clarity. I could definitely tell by the tone of my voice, the cadence of it, the uncertainty, that it's not clear. I don't really know what I'm looking for there. So I'm not sure. Euro US dollar seems very strong. Now trading up on the day towards the range. Dollar turning negative right now. Interesting to watch. Euro has been strong versus everything. Here's the Euro Australian dollar, but you're coming into some strong resistance over here. That becomes a possibility. That becomes a possibility until you clear this resistance and or trend line, that you're looking for a resumption of the trend downwards, a good place to short. Get above it. You see the trend CI turning positive. That opens up a series of buys then on. This is starting to look promising. This is coming to an area that I like. I like an area where either you have the short, or if you get above it, you have the long. I like areas that often up trades to both sides. That's really cool. Let's check out the pound Australian dollar. I don't think I've looked at it yet today. Pound Australian dollar also looks to me like it's setting up for a possible short here. Any pullback into resistance. Now, is this strong resistance? It's resistance. You got stronger resistance up here a little bit further, but this is definitely some resistance over here. If this starts resuming downward, it might provide a good opportunity to short. It is a question not of taking every setup that you see. First, you have to learn to understand what is a valid setup, right? Take the training course. Then it also really what it comes down to is discerning what is the best setup to take, right? That's all before you get into where do you place your stops? How do you manage your trades? What position size should you be using? All right, everyone, we're going to call it a session. We're going to call it a session today. And I thank you for it. We got an enormous amount of likes over there. We didn't make 600, but we came mighty close. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for you. This afternoon's S&P session is going to be a good one, I think, because we're going to have a whole nother session to go off of to look at what's going on. Right now, I'm pretty much dead neutral, where I could see myself, my next trade, either being a buy or a sell trade, and I don't know which one it is yet. We got some trading ahead of us to help clear that out for us. Yeah, Paulo, well, we looked at that in the Telegram group last night, or yesterday afternoon, and we were talking about how this was a bull flag forming, and that the next move would be either a breakout to the upside or a downside. And it broke down, failing to the downside. That's why. Yeah, Model 3 Life, I appreciate all of the camaraderie today. We got the 6,000 likes. Jesse over at Epic Travels. Jesse, you gotta post your most popular video, your best video on the channel for us. I want to take a look at it. I still haven't seen it. Everyone, thanks, Maybe Line, for your time as well. I definitely, you know, Thomas, US dollar, Mexican peso today. I hope you're involved in that one. Mart, thank you. Eugene, Mario, I don't know. Today's not going to be the day. You know, today's not going to be the day, but maybe soon. All right, Mario, whatever. Mario's got a growth mindset. I love the growth mindset. That's the mindset that we all need to have. That's the mindset that we all need to have. We're always looking to better ourselves. We can do anything. It's just a question of dedication. It's a question of training. It's a question of time. It's a question of discipline. Love it. Love it. Love it, Mario. Thank you. I hope you have a beautiful day as well. Au revoir, everyone. Peace, love, stay safe. I'll talk to you later. Thank you, David. God bless you all too. God bless you, Roman. Tacos and daps. Let's get going. It's time for us all to go ahead and put together some serious good trades. The market is always there with opportunity. Crypto Cat, thanks, friend. Thank you so much. May God bless you too. Rodrigo, you're the man, brother. Oh, Brazil's